Welcome back to Point Shaver. This is video number 6 on the channel. We have UFC Fight Night Vallejos versus Emmett. Pretty solid fight card. Not a numbered event, obviously, but should be some good fights, and we'll just get right into it. The first fight we have is Piera Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes. These two actually fought back in 2021, and Rodriguez did get the victory. But yeah, Rodriguez is a little bit better on the feet. She can grapple as well, obviously. One of her only losses in the UFC is like an illegal headbutt. For the most part, she's been pretty good in the UFC. Sam Hughes had a rocky start to her career, but as of late, she's been very good and winning a lot of fights. Her wrestling has really come into play. This is a really tough fight. I don't see this being pretty one-sided in any way. I will have to lean with Rodriguez. She won the first fight. I do think she can win the second one. The grappling is pretty good. The striking, I think, is just a little bit better. The activity is just a little bit more as well. So I'm going to go with Rodriguez. This could go 29-28 either way. I don't see a finish here. Sam Hughes is known for never getting finishes. I think actually her last fight was her first finish that she's ever gotten. But yeah, I will go with Rodriguez 29-28. Could see a split decision. Could be unanimous, but yeah, Rodriguez will get it done by decision. And in the next fight we have is Luan Lacerda versus Hisher Sosa. Sosa made his debut on the Dana White Contender Series. He looked pretty good. He has some good grappling, really heavy leg kicks. He throws a lot of kicks, a lot of knees. His striking is pretty good. Going against Lacerda, who's known for, he has a 1-2 down the middle, but everything else is always going to be grappling. He's going to try to get submissions. He has a lot of good reversals on the ground, a lot of good transitions. He's very, very well-rounded jiu-jitsu practitioner, but I do think Sosa is just a little bit more well-rounded with the fight starting on the feet. I do think Sosa will land the better shots, and then it might force the takedowns early out of Lacerda. If Lacerda does get into the clinch and is able to get like a body lock or is able to get a single leg, he does really good with getting trips and being able to get takedowns off the cage. Yeah, I just think that Sosa's going to land the better shots, though, and he's going to force those entries from too far away, and Sosa won't be there, and I think he's going to pick apart that leg. So I'm going to go with Sosa here. I think he gets it done by TKO. I think he actually gets a finish here. I think it'll be early third round, maybe late second round. I think over time the damage will add up, and Sosa will get it done by TKO. And in the next fight, we have Montserrat Rendon versus Bia Mesquita. We all know Mesquita, undefeated fighter. She's known for jiu-jitsu. Pretty much non-existent striking for her. She does run out of cardio pretty quickly as well if she's not able to get into the grappling exchanges early or if they get denied. So there's two ways to win a victory here. Mesquita's got to get a takedown, has to get the back, has to get a submission in or get some top control. And then obviously Rendon has to keep it on the feet. Obviously, she just fought Pereira, who is a very long, lengthy striker. She was kind of getting pieced up on the feet for the most of the fight, but her cardio withheld, or stood tall and was able to get the victory for her. But yeah, Mesquita, I do think she's going to be able to land a takedown. I do think she's going to be able to be too much on the ground for her. It's not like Rendon has this crazy striking, ability as well. She just has good cardio. She's tough. She's going to push forward. She's going to put on a good pace. Sometimes she could be a little inactive, just walking forward, getting punched. But I do have to go with Mesquita here. I want to be surprised with an upset if Mesquita is able to get takedowns and then not do anything with them and then over time get tired. I do think Rendon could potentially break her, but I'm going to go with Mesquita to get it done. I do think she gets a submission. I'm going to go first round sub. Anything out of the first round, I do think obviously Rendon can be a live dog. But yeah, let's go with Mesquita first round sub. I would say rear naked choke. And in the next fight, we have Brad Tavares versus Eric Anders. Yeah, not a great fight. Feels like these two have already fought before. Eric Anders, as of recently, is, a lot of grappling, a lot of wrestling. That's pretty much his game, is very heavy wrestling. Brad Tavares, a lot of on the back foot, throwing heavy leg kicks and defending takedowns. This is probably going to be a really boring fight. The only way Anders can win is if he lands takedowns. The only way Brad Tavares can win is if he prevents the takedowns. And Brad Tavares in his last fight, he fought Bierzik. I think his name is Robert Bierzik. He got taken down. He got TKO'd, but then he fought Gerald Meerschaert and was able to defend all of those takedowns. So it's a little interesting to see who is going to be able to implement their game plan. Eric Anders in his last fight, he fought Christian Leroy Duncan. I mean, he got decimated. So I do think this is such a tough fight. It's pretty much a stay away, but I'm going to go with Brad Tavares. I do think the striking is just going to be better. I do think Anders is going to push him against the cage, and I think he'll just be able to regain underhooks and be able to keep the fight on the feet for the most part and land a jab, land some leg kicks. It's going to be 29-28 probably for Tavares, but it's going to be pretty boring. So Tavares gets it done by decision. And in the next fight, we have Balaji Oki versus Manuel Souza. Souza's making his debut. He had a third-round finish from hammer fist on the ground on the Dana White Contender Series, if I remember. And Oki, I think, is also a Dana White Contender Series guy as well. Oki's been up and down in the UFC so far. He had who did he fight? He fought somebody last year, Mason Jones. He had him hurt really bad and just got fatigued and got taken down. And Mason Jones could have been finished in that fight. It was really close, but he ended up getting finished. But Manuel Souza, has a win over Mauricio Hufi, and he knocked him out on the feet. So I do think Souza's striking is a little bit better. He's a little bit faster, a little bit more crisp. And if the fight did go to the ground, he probably is a little bit better with the submissions. But this fight should be standing up the entire time. Souza is just a little bit faster, a little bit more explosive. Both of them are actually pretty explosive on the feet, but I do think Souza is just a little bit better, a little bit more well-rounded. Is able to utilize the kicks a little bit better too. Oki, I do like that he goes to the body. Really good boxing, but I think Souza would be too much for him. I see this fight probably getting finished. I could see a decision. Maybe they both hurt each other and they both fatigue over time. But I do think Souza hurts him and he puts him away. I'm going to go with second round TKO. Souza follows up on the ground with some ground and pound shots and gets the finish. And in the next fight, we have Elijah Smith versus Yusu Young. Yusu Young had a pretty close fight in his last one. A lot of grappling, wasn't able to really land a takedown, but the attempts were there. The forward pressure was there. He was able to edge out a victory in his last one. And Elijah Smith, obviously coming out of that insane knockout, pretty scary knockout where he slammed him like Rampage style, had him in a triangle and knocked him out. Elijah Smith is better on the feet. I think he's a little bit more explosive. On the ground, they're pretty similar. Elijah Smith is no joke on the ground, has good grappling, is able to get out of submissions and reverse positions as well. I do think Elijah Smith is just better, a little bit more explosive, a little bit better of an athlete. I do think this fight does go to decision, though. I think it's going to be tough back and forth. I think Su Young will test him. I don't think he really tests him on the feet too much, but in the grappling, I think he'll make it interesting. I'll go with Elijah Smith to get it done by decision. It could be 30-27, maybe 29-28. Maybe Su Young steals around, but I think Elijah Smith shows a little bit of development in his game and shows that he's able to go all three rounds and is able to be there for all three. So I think he's going to be better on the feet, a little bit better on the ground. Should be a pretty comfortable win for him, but maybe might run into some challenging moments. But yeah, Elijah Smith, 30-27, 29-28. And in the next fight, we have Vitor Petrino versus Steven Asplund. When Petrino came into the UFC, he looked like, just a savage. He looked like a guy that was really going to be able to do some real work inside of the light heavyweight division. Then he got, guillotined by Anthony Smith. And then he moved up to heavyweight. And since then, he's had a good win over Austin Lane, pretty early, a pretty easy win over him. And then the Thomas Peterson fight was really weird because the cardio was so bad, but the striking was really on point. He was really piecing up Peterson, and he wasn't allowing him to get those takedowns. And against Dustin Jacoby, he was doing well, but then, obviously he got clipped. Dustin Jacoby is Obviously, a really good kickboxer, really good striker. He's got really good hands. But Steven Asplund, very interesting guy. He has a really good cardio, really good chin. He's able to push a pace. I mean, his last fight, I'm looking at the stats right now. He got obviously a TKO in the second round. He landed 170 strikes. He threw 292. So the pace that he's going to be able to put on, if he's able to withstand those Petrino strikes, I think he can obviously get clipped early. But I do think Asplund over time will be able to melt Petrino. We've seen this. The cardio is not there. I think he's just a little too muscular. The cardio just isn't good for Petrino. It always fails him. So I do think Asplund, if he's able to survive the first round and he's able to eat those big shots early, I think he'll break him. I see this being a third round TKO by Asplund. I think near the end of the second round, Petrino is gassed and he's getting pieced up, and then in the third round, he puts him away. So I got Asplund in this one, but wouldn't be surprised if Petrino puts him away in the first round. Very strong, very good striker. He's got heavy power. But I'm going to go with Asplund to get it done. Third round TKO. And in the next fight, we have Chris Curtis versus Miktabek Oralbai. I'm happy to see that Chris Curtis is making the jump down to welterweight. He was always kind of a small middleweight. And he obviously got his first win against Max Griffin. Not really too impressive of a victory, but nonetheless, he did get his first win at welterweight. He's going to be going against Miktabek Oralbai. Miktabek in his last fight, I think he finished Hermanson, who also moved down from middleweight, put him out pretty badly too, if I remember correctly. He had a nasty follow-up shot too. Chris Curtis getting up there in age. The boxing of Chris Curtis, I think, is just better than Oralbai, but the well-roundedness, the kicks, the awkwardness, the potential for takedowns for Oralbai are just a little too much for me to think Curtis has a chance in this one. Oralbai, I don't think will be able to land a takedown. Chris Curtis is known for having really good takedown defense. I think the only time he really got taken down much was against the Imavov. And I mean, obviously, we know Nasruddin Imavov is, a problem everywhere. But Oralbai, I think, is just going to be a little too much. The activity, the toughness. I think Chris Curtis will have moments for sure. I think the boxing is going to be better. It'll be a little bit more crisp. But the forward pressure, the activity, Oralbai, the grappling, just the threat of it being there, I think Oralbai just be a little too much. I see this fight going to decision. Chris Curtis defensively is too good. I don't see him really getting clipped. And Oralbai is just a little too tough. I don't see him getting finished. So I will go Oralbai, 29-28. Maybe there's an argument for Chris Curtis, but for one round. But I think Miktabek just does too much activity, and he's able to get the job done. And I believe we're moving on to the main card, Charles Johnson versus Bruno Silva. I think this is a very interesting fight. Charles Johnson's going to be much bigger than him. The striking at range might be a little bit better. But I think Bruno Silva obviously has the knockout power. So does Charles Johnson. I mean, he knocked out the champion at flyweight. He knocked out Joshua Van. But a lot of his wins, and he obviously knocked out Loner Kavanaugh. But a lot of those wins come late in the third round against inexperienced guys who have emptied their gas tank or have let their guard down a little bit too much. And he takes advantage of it. But going against a guy like Bruno Silva, who's been there, fought a lot of the top elite guys. I mean, he's also fought Joshua Van as well. I think his striking is just a little too powerful for Charles Johnson. I think if he lands, he can put him away. We just saw Charles Johnson get finished by Alex Perez recently. It was a pretty weird knockout. He was all over the place, still trying to fight and grapple. He was out of it. I think Bruno Silva, I think this is a trap. This is my first, underdog pick of the fight so far. I think Bruno Silva gets it done. I think Charles Johnson gets finished again. Charles Johnson's just too easily hittable. And I think Bruno Silva will land on the chin and put him away. I see a second round finish. I think he rocks him. He follows up with some shots against the cage, and the ref steps in and stops it. Maybe Charles Johnson is protesting the stoppage, but nonetheless, I do think Silva gets it done. Second round TKO. And in the next fight, we have Ian Cutelaba versus Omar Sy. Omar Sy has only lost once in the UFC. I think it was to Alonzo Menafield. It was kind of a very boring back-and-forth fight. Not really much happened. It could have gone either way. Gave him his first loss, but Cutelaba's lost multiple times. UFC, been knocked out, been taken down, been controlled. He's lost basically every which way. I think Sai, he has the reach advantage. I think his arms are really long. He's going to be able to keep him at range, and then he can utilize the grappling and the takedowns whenever he wants. Whenever Sai gets on top of you, you're not getting up typically. So he has really good top control. And I just don't see Cutelaba surviving in there. I think Sai needs to do a little bit more activity when he's on the ground. Needs to do a little bit more striking and on the feet, and a little, showing all the works of his game a little bit more. I think he gets a little too comfortable getting on top and just holding and trying to win the rounds. But I do think Sai gets it done. Cutelaba has never really impressed me in the UFC. I do think Sai is going to be able to take him down, control him, and I think he's going to mount him and then, finish the fight by TKO. I see this being finished probably in the first round. So Sai gets it done, TKO, first round. And in the next fight, we have Marwan Rahiki versus Harry Hardwick. If you guys didn't watch that Dana White Contender Series fight where Rahiki almost got finished and he was just, the ref could have stepped in. He got lucky that the ref didn't, but he was just fighting through it. He had wobbly legs, getting dropped multiple times, and then still finds a way to get the finish. He's 7-0, and all of his fights have been either knockouts. I think he has one submission recently on his record. And then obviously you see Harry Hardwick somehow returning, and he got finished by Kyle Fernandez by leg kicks. He was just chopping at his legs for 2 rounds. I don't know how Hardwick is going to be able to do anything with Rahiki. I think the striking, he's too crisp, too fast. There's obviously a clear way to beat him. Hardwick obviously got kicked in those legs, and he was unable to check them, unable to stop it. I think Rahiki would just go right back to the film and watch what Fernandez did and do the same thing, and then maybe land to the leg and then go upstairs with a kick as well. I think he's going to be too fast. Rahiki's just better. The striking will be too much. He's going to be too fast. I think he gets a finish as well. I think it'll be first round KO. I think he eats those legs early, fakes low, goes up top with the head kick, wobbles him, and then starts following up with some shots and puts him down, puts him away. So I'm going to go Rahiki, first round KO. And in the next fight, we have Andre Fili versus Jose Delgado. Fili obviously been around for a long time, has pretty good striking, pretty good leg kicks. He's got pretty good boxing. But going against Delgado, I do think Delgado has an argument to be made that he could have won the fight against Nathaniel Wood. Obviously, Nathaniel Wood's very good, but Delgado is just very powerful on the feet. He's very good, very crafty, and he's just super powerful. I don't see a way Fili's going to be able to win most of the rounds. I think Delgado will be able to pace himself a little bit more. We saw against Nathaniel Wood, he started to gas a little bit. But Nathaniel Wood's very good, very active. He's known for his cardio and output. But I think Delgado, he's going to come back, show some new wrinkles to his game. I think Fili could try to mix in some grappling to slow him down, but I think Delgado will be too quick, too powerful on the feet. And I think Delgado puts Fili away. I can see this being a first-round KO as well. A lot of his fights end pretty early. If you watch Delgado fight, even against Nathaniel Wood, he hurt him early in the first round as well. So I do think Delgado will hurt Fili, and I think he'll be able to, smell blood in the water and put him away. I'm going to go with Delgado to get it finished in the first round by KO. And in the co-main event, we have Amanda Lemos versus Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson, Port St. Lucie, that's where I'm from. Shout out to her. She has really shown recently that she's been a monster. She has wins over Luana Pinheiro. She has a win over the karate girl, Michelle Watterson. I think it used to be her name. She has a win over Polyana Viana. And then she obviously just won against Marina Rodriguez, where she finished her. The grappling of hers, the takedowns are too much. Lemos has been known to be able to get taken down. She's obviously very dangerous on the feet. But I think Jillian Robertson would just get her down, control her, be able to get her in a side, like a crucifix position, mount her, side control, back to half guard. She's just going to be able to roll with her, take her back. I think Jillian Robertson will finish this fight. I think Lemos is just too easy to be taken down and is too willing to give up her back. And I think Robertson will capitalize and maybe second round submission. I think Jillian Robertson will get it to the ground. She'll roll over, she'll get the choke, and it'll be curtains. So I think Jillian Robertson gets it finished in the second round by submission. Lemos she's obviously very good on the feet. Really just has never gotten better at takedown defense. That's always been her real weakness. She can stand and bang with a lot of the girls, but I think Jillian Robertson's just going to be too much. She won't be able to defend those takedowns. So Jillian Robertson gets it done by submission in the second round. And in the main event, it is Kevin Vallejos versus Josh Emmett. This doesn't really seem too fair of a fight here. I think Josh Emmett's just a little too old. He's 41 years old now. He's been getting touched up more, getting clipped more. Vallejos is just the better striker. Obviously, Emmett is very good on the feet, but he just throws overhands, and somehow it always works. But he's lost to Lerone Murphy, got pretty dominated in that fight. He lost to Yusuf Zalal, immediately got submitted. I mean, he didn't even throw a punch in that fight. But Vallejos, I think, is just shown that he is just very good on the feet, very well-rounded. He's very powerful. I mean, knocked out Giga Chikadze. He finishes a lot of his fights. His only loss is to Gene Silva. I mean, it was a decision, and it was back and forth. It was competitive, and he's only 24 years old. I think when he fought Jean Silva, Jean Silva was 21, 22. I think it was a couple years ago. Vallejos is just going to be too much for him. I think he's going to be able to land at will. I think he's going to be too fast. He's going to be too powerful. He's going to hurt Emmett. I think he eventually puts him away. Emmett's known for being really durable, really tough, but I think at this point of his career, it's time for him to be put away. So Vallejos, I think, will get it done. Third round, KO. I think he'll be able to finish the fight in the third round. First two rounds should be pretty dominant. But Josh Emmett, he does have power, does have good striking, good overhands. It's basically all he throws. I think he could land something on Vallejos, but Vallejos, I think, is just going to be too much for him. So that'll be everything. I think he finishes it by KO in the third. And that is the wrap-up for today. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we get back to winning and getting back to 75% or 70% and above. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.